Okay, so the stream started, right? Yeah, so welcome all to the third race of the IRC ACC Season 2. We are introducing a new track today, which is Kyalami in South Africa. It's a new track that is very flowing, so it should allow drivers not only the opportunity to compete it out in a new track, but also a lot of opportunities to overtake. So unlike Brands Hatch, quali is not going to be too important. Race strategy is definitely going to play a much bigger role here. Currently, the drivers are going to finish their free practice in the next 3 minutes, and we'll be diving right ahead into quali. Dema, do you have anything to start this up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you, Anirudh, for starting off this live stream. Hi, I'm Washington Nirma. I used to drive in season one in the Lexus, and talking about how it is right now, looking at the standings of the championship, Jackster is leading the championship by 1 point with KC66 behind him. So if Jackster right now gets a head start in qualifying, over KC, I think it's done deal for Jackster, who got, I believe, the fastest lap in previous race in Brands Hatch.
Yeah, so last time around, Brands Hatch, it was good to see a different strategy play out between Dwarknath and Jackster. So Dwarknath chose to stay with the tires and proceed ahead, while Jackster took a gamble with fresher tires, and that did reflect on his pace and definitely the fastest lap of the race. But it is not enough. Um, Comparatively, that kind of strategy can work out here in Kyalami. You have a bigger track, it'll be easier to get through your back markers in the back. It's going to be easier to maintain grip overall. The track has lesser risk associated with it. So, a strategy that probably involves fresher tires is a good one and definitely has a higher success rate than a similar strategy in Brand Hatch. So as I say that, quali has started, and we have the cars of Jackster, Richard Gyan in the Mercedes, Prakar Vats in the McLaren, and Dwarknath in the Ferrari go out. We also have the car of KC66 in the Bentley, and Shubham Das in the Mercedes go out. So lap times have been set just yet. It's still the out lap for most of the guys here. So we'll definitely be on board with one of the drivers, seeing how they navigate the lap, and we are looking forward to a quali which can put up strong lap times close to 141s or 140s if possible.
Anirudh, you are pretty experienced and pretty knowledgeable in terms of setup. What do you think should be the ideal setup for the drivers, and what should they be aiming for in terms of lap times and fuel loads to set up optimal time?
So a lot of setups have to do with the kind of driver that you are. So uh, the ACC gives you the platform to basically set the car up to exactly what sort of a driver you are. Um, it also is very dependent on the car itself. So I expect the cars like the Mercedes and the Bentley, which have a lot of stability, to be really fast here. And it would be easier for the drivers in those kind of a car, that kind of a car, to actually set up and gain a lot of lap time. If you're looking at the cars like the Audi and the Ferrari, which are quite dependent on the performance of their undertrays, it's going to be a challenge because Kyalami offers a bit of off camber, a bit of curb riding, which would disrupt the aerodynamic balance of the car. So it's going to be a challenge for these kind of cars. We can see drivers potentially go with a very soft setup, which has probably good roll for grip through the long corners. We can also see drivers, going very stiff with a very stable platform for their cars. So it's going to be different, definitely more dependent on the preference of the driver and the car combination. Um, but yeah, it would be probably good to see what each driver has come up with. So if we can go on board with Jackster, he's going to start a flying lap right now. So as I say that, the turn one into Kilami is basically a braking zone. It needs you to trail brake right into the corner, gaining as much gap as you can to the next turn, if you will. So as we say that, we can see his car pitching in and about. So this kind of a setup, I guess he would have favored a setup which is soft for him to easily ride the curbs over. And at the end of the day, it's the lap times that matter. So as I say that, he gets a bit unstable through turn three. Nirma, do you have anything on the cars to add in here?
I've noticed a lot of people have now gone for the Mercedes and the Audi as compared to season one, where there were a lot of Lexus, a lot of Ferraris on the track. People have now gotten used to use season one as a way to get used to the game and now known what their driving style is, what cars is perfect for them. We have a few drivers with still using the Continental GT3 like Couple Ace and KC66, and Jackster is now using the Audi R8. And if he sets a good qualifying lap, which he needs to set one more lap again because he oversteered and went unstable on the grass, if he gets P1, it's all he needs to do is just defend and to get P1 in the standings and increase his gap to P2, who is KC66 by just 1 point.
Yeah. Um, just give me a second. I'll probably have to figure out something with my internet.
Jackster goes for a 141.652. Jackster now probably is going to go for his second lap. We don't know what fuel loads he's running, but looking at the way he's taking the corner, I think he's going to go for another lap. He goes turn 1, turn 2, goes to turn 3. This is where he went unstable, lost time, and goes wide again, goes onto the grass, is already down 2 tenths, 3 tenths, and he has just given up. Dwarkanath, we're on board now with Dwarkanath, who finds Jackster, who has just given up on his lap. Dwarkanath now is 1/10 upon his time. It's set a 142.999. Wow, interesting. Dwarkanath trying to find those time where he can gain the time. The Ferrari looking ever so beautiful. Car guy racing, the guy who I believe when I was commentating Monza got hit by Casey on the inside and just spun. Can he get redemption in Kyalami and get P1 from Jackster?
Yeah,
is already two tenths up.
yeah, Nirma, as you were mentioning earlier, we do see a different set of cars on track as compared to season one. And I think that's because at the end of the day, drivers are not only getting trying to get faster based on their own skills, but also it's some sort of majority. What could I say to make this a bit clear? So um, the cars that they're selecting is generally considered as one that's easier to drive. For instance, we saw, I think, four Porsches on grid last season, and in today's race we don't have any. So at the end of the day, the drivers are all learning at the same time, trying to become better than they were the previous time they raced on track. So we also see drivers taking up cars which would help them, set up easier and set up in a way that they learn from each other. And I think that's what's happening. We can see that there are a lot of Audis and Mercedes on track. We do have people like Casey who has stuck with the Bentley. So the idea being that driving a known car is definitely going to be easier than starting off from scratch in an unknown one. At the end of the day, the balance of performance of all these cars are pretty close to each other. So the factor of the driver is significantly bigger than the factor of the car itself. But that wouldn't be but it is obvious that depending on the track that you are in, some cars are going to be better than the others.
Looking at the live stream right now, I can see a lot of people supporting D Joseph. If we can switch to D Joseph right now, who is currently P6 in his Audi and almost 3 seconds off from pole position. Lot of fan support for D Joseph right now. Can he live up to the hype in the comment section and deliver? Looks like he's on a slowdown lap. He's already 13 seconds off. Or is this his? Okay, he's gonna
Yep,
go on a
that's
lap now.
his. Yeah, he's going on a lap right now, and I already
Do you
see
want to
that the
walk us through
times
the
are.
track? Do you want to walk us through the track? Looking on D Joseph's onboard.
Yeah. So the track starts off with turn one, which has a lot of trail making. You need as much curb on the inside as possible. You want to get ideally wide bit to turn two because turn three comes up before you know it, and you want to be on the right side of turn three as much as possible. You want to take up turn four with as much curb on the inside without having to go on the gravel trap on the outside because that destabilizes your car a lot. Turn number five is basically the aerodynamic part of the track. You need as much downforce as possible. At the same time, you need the mechanical grip from the tires to prevent them not only from scrubbing off or overheating too much. Turn number six is known to be a bit positive on the camber side, so it can throw you off when you are entering the turn. Turn number seven and eight are quite quick, so it's going to come in quite fast. Taking curb depends on the car that you're in. The Audis are typically not too good on that. Turn number nine is a blind turn, so you have to start braking before you actually see the apex of the turn and turn in as tight as you can. Downshift probably to your lowest gear and try to get the best traction that you can out of the turn. As I said that I've just skipped through turn number 10. And the next few turns, turn number 11 and 12 is sweeping. It's essentially full throttle on these cars. And turn number 12 is again a trail braking zone where you want to brake in as close as you can, maintain speed, not cut off too much of it, and get ready for the next turn. This particular turn is very critical. Taking too much curve on the inside is definitely going to cause you a lot of damage. It's going to throw you off track. And the last turn again is a one where you want to trail brake into it, take as much curb on the inside as you can. And as I say that, Joseph does overshoot that corner, probably a bit too ambitious compared to what is available traction on the car. So that lap will be invalidated, but that effort did result in a 144.2.
That was pretty exciting. Looking at you commentating and Joseph having some hype in the comment section. And it's his maiden race. So let's see what can he deliver to the expectations and the hype. And Madhav in the Japanese muscle power over there in the Nissan. The car looks pretty bulky. What do you think about the Nissan as compared to the other European
Um,
cars on the track?
I guess Nissan is a stick out in the terms of the car that it is. It's it's quite average in the terms of acceleration. I personally haven't driven the Nissan, but there are people who can make it go fast. So I hope that Madhav is able to make something out of it because Nissan is probably not a tried and tested car out here in IRC, and there's not much say information on it. The car is definitely bulky, in the likes of the Bentley and the Mercedes, but I sure hope it drives better than it looks, basically. So as we say that, if we can go on board with Jackster, I think, um, okay, he's invalidated his lap again. But there's something interesting that I saw about his car as compared to everyone else's. His car's bouncing around the curbs a lot more than the others. So I'm not sure if this is something to do with the setup, or how much curb he's taking in. But it's really throwing his car off at the turns. It's really throwing his car off into the sharp right-handed aero corner. So I don't think that's a good thing. I think that's costing him a few seconds. For him, 140 should definitely be on the table if his
Yeah, I
car was
think
disabled.
Anirudh, your internet is lagging a bit.
Okay, I'll just check it out. One second.
Radio check. Anirudh, radio check. Radio check.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I believe we have a man down.
Am I audible now? Am I audible now?
Yeah, Anirudh, you are.
Yep.
Well, I am sorry. That was my internet connection. Rip.
Okay, so um, yeah, just I'm just giving a moment to rejoin as a spectator the server.
Well, while Anirudh joins as a spectator, we are going to be on board with Richard Kyan, who is already 5 tenths up on his lap time in the black, slick, black-looking Mercedes. If my memory serves me right, Richard Kyan was driving the Lexus, and he was one of the reasons why I switched from the Jaguar to the Lexus, and the Lexus was just so much more beautiful. And if he switched from the Lexus to the Mercedes, there must be a good reason why he must have switched. I believe Vanero, I believe one of the most more talented people in terms of setting up a car and explaining to people how to set up a car, can talk us through as to why he switched from such a bulky looking Lexus to a more Mercedes driven lineup, where we didn't have a single Mercedes. I believe we only had two Mercedes in the last season, but now there are so many Mercedes on the track.
Yeah, you're right. We did have only two Mercedes the last season, and I think this time around we have a lot more. I guess around four. I think a big reason for that is that the Mercedes is an inherently very stable vehicle. Especially in a track like Imola or even a track like Brands Hatch, you can take a lot more curb on the Mercedes than you can do on anything else. I think this has something to do with the anti-dive suspension that is modeled into the vehicles in the game. And at the end of the day, that kind of a setup really helps the driver remove focus from the stability under the vehicle and put in a bit more focus on where he is on track. So the Mercedes is a car that will definitely give you that extra half a second or 1 second once you're consistent with it. But to get the best out of the car, you still have to tune it a bit a lot. So the Mercedes, because it's bulky, usually having a bit more downforce in the rear can hamper the top speed here, especially in a track like Kyalami where there are a lot of overtaking opportunities into turn one. So again, it's a big trade-off. The Mercedes can definitely be the faster car in qualifying, but for it to have the race pace amongst the Audis and the Porsches, which are significantly more nimble, that's going to be a challenge.
And as we reach the end of qualifying, I Jackster with a 141.373. Rest of the grid is 1 second and above off. That is exceptional driving from Jackster, having pole position in 1 second. Now we have 1 minute 30 seconds for the drivers to calculate their fuel limit for the 1 hour race. And it's going to be interesting because Jackster, as we can see from qualifying, probably has a lot of more pace or maybe carried enough fuel to just set one lap and have a lighter car and a better car in terms of setup. But Casey, his current closest contender for the lead of the championship is, where is he? I don't see. He is P9. Wow. That's quite the difference.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, I was skeptical about the kind of race car Jackson was driving. At least for me, it seemed like he was bouncing off the curbs incredibly a lot more than the others. So I have to give it to him that he could pull off a quali, but he is around a second ahead of Dortmund, who is definitely by no means a slow driver. Um, but I'm quite skeptical about what's going to happen in the race because Jackson would have to keep it clean and consistent for not to lose too much stability through it. And in quali, we did see that he did go off a few times. He could set only 2 laps, where he did around I think 5 laps in total, excluding the outlap. So consistency is going to be key for Jackson in this race if he wants a race win, and I just hope he can pull it off. I don't want to put any commentator's curse on it. So I just and I say that I think he's shifted back to the pits. He's teleported back to the pits. Can you confirm?
Wow, yes, he is on the pits. I can see it on the stream. He is on the pits. That's. I mean, apparently now Dwarkanath is going to lead the race into turn 1, followed by Aurora, Chaudhary, Bharat, Watt, Das, Gyan, KC66, Joseph, Admiral Aladdin, Sajid, and Tyagi.
Yeah, and as I say that, there was a bit of commotion going into the turn. I think a few cars did go into each other. So
as we reach the start finish line.
Green light, go, go, go.
And it's away we go. Dwarkanath gets the jump. Aurora comes in. Bharat goes on the inside of Aurora. Chaudhary, Das, KC66, Tyagi going way back. He does not get a good start. We are going very wide into turn 1 over here.
Yeah, and as I say that, it's a big sham in turn. We had 3 cars going parallelly. Dwarkanath goes out wide and they make contact. The McLaren and the Ferrari has made contact. The Audis hit the curb and fallen back. We have the Mercedes of Das right behind right now. So there is a gap forming between first, second, and third, and P4 right now, probably because of the bad exit. Kapil gets very close to the McLaren, and they again make contact into the right-hander. So scrappy start, but no one is lost out as such.
I am sorry, Jackson, if you watch the stream later on. Oh, wow! Bharat goes yeet into the barriers. Does he have damage? I believe he does.
I guess he should, because he slammed into the barrier like a tennis racket against the ball. But I think that's commentator's curse there. I just finished saying that this lap 1 was scrappy at start, but no contact or anything. Technically, I was right, but still, I think the driver would view it as a curse.
I feel terrible for Jackster. He had such a beautiful qualifying, and then I just commentator's curse does his job once again.
I think I am a bit sad for Jackster, but I probably am happy that we definitely going to see some track action. Because if I were to evaluate track position and track action for me and for the spectators, I think everyone is going to choose track action. So it's up to Jackster right now for the next 58 minutes and 10 seconds to fight it out and get ahead. But I think on board with Jackster, it's going to be real fun watching him make moves, especially in a track where you have infinite amount of overtaking opportunities.
Well, Anirudh has set it up for you, so all the people watching, get your popcorns ready, because we are going to have a spectacular overtaking show from Jackster, if Anirudh is right.
And can we go on board with Jackster? He has just completed his first move on the Nissan of Madhav Sajid. He is closing up on his team. And as I say that, there's another Audi that has spun.
And Aladdin has spun! The Audi has spun! He is falling back. I believe he's in last place now. I think he went too aggressive on the curb or just got too throttle happy. That's sad for the Audi.
Yeah, and as I was telling you earlier, Nirma, that this is the sort of thing that can happen. The Audi is terribly unstable. It's a really sensitive car, and the Porsche is a bit more sensitive. So, Kyalami taking its first toll on a driver who's not paying too much attention. And as I say that, Jackster easily gets past Joseph. So, he's going to need a bit more motivation. And I see Richard Gyan going out wide. He's just opening the door to Jackster to make a pass on him. And Jackster is definitely giving it everything. There's no courtesy or there's no agreement of gentlemen here. So it's all about track position in a respectable manner.
Richard Gunn backs off. He could have gone wheel to wheel, but if his experience wasn't right, he is not a rookie driver in this series. He is a veteran, and he knows he's going to get a chance again if he's patient enough. I think if he saw the qualifying time differences, he knows Jackster is faster than him, so there's no use in fighting against him.
Yeah,
And if Jackster still has the consistent pace that he did in qualifying, being 1 second faster than P2, it's an easy win for him because this 56 minutes is a long, long time.
Yep. So I think 56 minutes is definitely not a huge time based on ACC standards. And as I say that, the Bentley of Casey chooses to jump, so testing out some of the flight capabilities of that vehicle. But coming back to point, Richard is definitely one of the more consistent drivers, and last time around in Brands Hatch, a contact in turn one, if I'm not wrong, cost him a lot, cost him the race basically. So I think he clearly knows that his battle is not with Jackster. He is for the points here. So and he's just played his methods carefully. So let's see if Jackster looks for a move into the turn, and oh no, that's definitely not helping his cause. So he went a bit off, I guess, and got into the grass, and after that, you don't have any more choice on where you're going to go on the track. So
The
as I
quicker
say that,
Jackster gets the moves, I'm sorry, can you go on?
yeah, as I say that, I noticed car number 98 has pitted. I think that's the Nissan of Madhav Sajid. So I'm not sure what's happening there. His car does look damaged to me.
It's flying past the field. I mean, if Wakana keeps that pace, it's going to be difficult for Jackster to get P1. Jackster might have to settle out of the podium. What do you think? I don't think he's going to get a podium at this pace.
I think Jackson has a bit more worrying to do. Before he does get the podium, he has to reach there first. So I guess he's focusing more on clearing the cars off, trying to create a gap for himself when he does go into the pits and comes out. So I'm guessing he's going to try something like what he did in Brands Hatch, fit out a fresh set of tires, get a good pace difference, and see if that pans out. Because last time around, if it was definitely not for the back markers slowing down and navigating through the traffic, I definitely could have guaranteed that there would have been a battle between Dwarkanath and Jackster for P1.
I mean, Jackster, if Jackster does Jackster do, what do you think? This Jackster's situation resembles Vettel charge to the field in Brazil 2012. He had turn one collision. That's the only difference. Jackster started from the pit. Vettel had a T1 collision in Brazil, but he went on to get a podium. Possibly a race win, I don't remember. But if Jackster does manage to get a podium, it might be compatible to that.
Yeah, I think it would be incredible to see because the pace difference between these drivers is not a lot, which means that when you're battling it out with the other driver, both of you are going to go a bit slower and just trying to make a gap between yourselves. And charging through a field which is slow is one thing, and charging through a field that has the same pace as you is another. So it just reflects the mentality of the driver behind the wheel, and that kind of attitude that says that sim racing or not, this is what I want to do and this is where I want to be. So as I say that, I can see Jackster entering the pits. I'm not really sure what's going on here. Why did he why he choose to enter the pits so early? But
Probably
he has
might
entered
want
the
to go
pits.
for a long turn. I think I might want to go for a long stint. I don't think there is tire wear in this season, so he's going to go for more fuel and try to go to the end of the race.
No, actually, the tire wear is enabled. It does happen, but it's just so much lower compared to how it does happen in a series like an F1. Um, but I'm not sure why exactly he pitted, because that was a small pit stop. I think he only has refuel. He did not change his tires as such. So, but I'm really not sure what the idea was behind pitting right at the 50th minute, because the incidents that happen in the future would definitely help him to navigate through the field. But if he does get onto the podium, this is something that I definitely want to ask him about.
All the positions from P4 to P7, it's pretty close. It's all within a second. I mean, sorry, P4 to P6, it's all within a second. So it's
Yep.
gonna get pretty feisty, pretty exciting, pretty quick. I just want one of the lead drivers to mess up, oversteer, or something. This is one commentator's curse I want to happen because it's gonna get exciting for us, for the viewers. And I am just gonna start yelling out because it's gonna get fun when one driver messes up and all of the guys have to manage to not hit him. Number one, number two, try to get past him as quick as possible before the next turn arrives.
Yeah, and as I say that, there is already a battle between Prakar Vats and S Das. Um, we'll just have to see whether he can make the move into turn one. And no, he doesn't.
Estas getting the bump draft, trying to get as close to the bumper as possible and try to find that space that Prakar Watts leaves to get past him. But it's just going wheel to wheel. Can we go on board with Prakar Watts for a second? And I think SD's past him. Now Casey might want to get as far away from Jackster as possible if he wants to snatch that P1 away from him. I repeat again, it's just 1 point difference, and the earlier you get the lead, you can have a mental pressure on the guy behind you if you know you're quicker than him or if they know they're quicker than you. But if you get the lead in the championship, that's already a mental pressure you have on the driver. And I believe more. I'm a person who believes that as racing is on track battle, it's more of it's even a psychological battle. You want to be playing with them psychologically. Go for the undercut, go for the undercut, overcut, and then try to get the lead in the beginning so you can have the mental pressure on them that they need to win and they just mess up because of overdriving the car in the future races.
Yeah, definitely. And somehow Kapil did lose out a bit of time. Oh, sorry, Casey did lose out a bit of time and is fallen back compared to the McLaren ahead of him. But the McLaren is again right behind the tail of the Mercedes in front. So if we can go on board with the McLaren, we'll just see what he's up to, whether he can make that gap into turn one. So meanwhile, G Aurora in the McLaren has pitted and probably would be. And I do see some damage on his car at the rear. I'm not sure if those are just scraps or damage that is significantly affecting the vehicle. But he has pitted, and I think he will be looking to complete his pit stop with fueling so that he can focus on the rest of the race.
Quite a diverse field we have over here. We have P1 in a Ferrari, P2 is a Bentley, P3 Audi, 4 is a Merc, 5 the McLaren, 6 the Bentley again, P7 the Merc again, P8 the only Porsche on track, P9 the Audi, P10 is the Audi, P11 the Audi, P12 the Merc, the McLaren, and P13 the sole Nissan. So we only have two sole cars, that's Porsche and the Nissan.
Yep, and as I told you earlier, the Porsche is significantly more nimble, and this is helping Ankit Tyagi in the Porsche car number 46 to close up to Richard Gyan in car number 7 up ahead. So I think that's the battle that to look out for in the next couple of turns, because that gap is definitely shrinking, contracting, and expanding depending on where they are on track. So it's definitely within the vision range of Richard Gyan, definitely ahead of the Porsche of Ankit Tyagi. So if he can manage to get a good exit out of this turn, he should be able to catch up to the car into turn one. But the Porsche's engine is a bit low on power as compared to the Mercedes.
We have Richard weaving so he doesn't get the slipstream. Trying to break the slipstream from Tyagi. I think he knows that Tyagi has the advantage over there. And
Yeah,
Tyagi, I think I've seen Tyagi catch up to Richard Gyan in the final sector. He got pretty
yeah.
close to him, but then after in start finish 9, he just falls back. I see.
Yeah, and I think we're going to have a three-way battle between Casey in the Bentley, Tyagi in the Porsche, and Richard Gere in the Mercedes. So it's going to be a big, battle of the minds too, because depending on how much pressure Richard can put up to Casey in front, he can probably get his mind off Tyagi at the back, and all at the same time while driving, while keeping within pace, while staying in the limits. So it's going to be definitely a challenge. And as I say that, I can see the cars. I can see four cars up ahead, which are within, you know, uh, place place catching range within place catching range of each other. So it's going to be a challenge. Tyagi is closing up at the back, and Gan is doing all that he can to catch up with the guys at front.
The race has been pretty quiet from Jackster's side, and Joseph, who got a lot of hype in the comment section. Joseph is the current fan favorite right now, but the commentator's favorite right now is Jackster to see what can he pull off after having a horrendous of a start. I just the only people who've pitted are the last three positions, P11 to P13, are the only guys who've pitted. The
Yeah.
Audi, the McLaren, and the Nissan. As I say that, the only Porsche on track also decides to pit. We still have 45 minutes and 40 seconds left to go. He gets the undercut on Richard Gyan, but can it work out?
Yeah, Dwarkanath is leading comfortably up ahead with a gap of 5.6 to Kapil Bharat. Um, and the real battle is between P4 to P6, with P7 of Richard Gyan closing in. There is a significant gap between Richard Gyan and Joseph in the Audi. So there's a lot of catching up to do if Joseph wants to live up to the hype of his fans. And as I say that, our Admiral General Aladdin is right behind the tail of Joseph, probably looking to make a move on him, because I think he is a bit faster as compared to the pace that Joseph is setting on track right now.
Can
Moving
Aladdin
back,
make his home country of Vadia proud after getting P8?
he needs to make them proud, considering that his results from Brands Hatch haven't been too good. And as I say
Oh, he
that,
goes
he
for a
makes a
dive
move.
bomb. That's beautiful from Aladdin. That was unexpected. Takes us off guard. Joseph must be wondering where did that come from. That is exceptional dive bomb from Aladdin.
I've got to say that that was a pretty challenging move to make, and you know, kudos to Joseph too for being spatially aware about the cars around him. But it's time for him to probably pick up the pace and start catching the place that he just lost right now.
I think that's going to be difficult considering the move that Aladdin made on him. Joseph, if I would be Joseph, I would number one be sweating because of that was being unexpected, and I would have my heartbeat racing, and I would be stunned because that was beautiful. That has to be the move of the race.
Hopefully, we see moves like that coming up. But I think so far, I do agree with you. That was probably one of the moves of the race. Being smooth as well as keeping it tight into the corner. Um, Aladdin definitely did not push Joseph out. Joseph did not definitely, come in deliberately. They kept it clean and they kept it visually pleasing. So hopefully we can see a bit more moves like that in the race. But until then, we'll be watching out for the other cars. And as I say that, I noticed that Shubham Das is making a lot of mistakes, probably a bit more pressure coming in from what's at the back. And as I say that, he does go off track. What gets the place, and the P4 is settled.
Done and dusted for Crooked Woods. He's going to be happy with that. Creating the pressure on him, staying behind him, and being patient. That paid off. But now,
Yep.
Can Casey milk this and get P5 from him and essentially make it even harder for Jackster to overtake him in the championship standings?
It all comes down to how the race plays out, and I can see that somehow P4 is cursed with making mistakes because the McLaren of Prakarwats runs out wide in the penultimate turn, and I think it's creating more opportunities for Das to get back at him. As I see that, Karish Chowdhury is comfortably ahead. His pace is almost a second faster than Prakhar Vats. That's probably because of the mistake that Prakhar Vats made on the previous lap. But this is just going to make it easier for Karish Chowdhury to focus on the cars up ahead rather than worry about the cars at the back.
The distance from P6 to P5 is quite significant, 16 seconds. But Joseph is falling behind on Aladdin. Aladdin seems to have the pace on Joseph, but does he have the pace on KC? What do you think?
I think we have to probably wait till the lap gets over because Casey is battling it out with Das in front, and I see the gap consistently being maintained at 16 seconds. Considering that both of them haven't pitted, Aladdin would definitely be looking at gaining a few seconds a lap to make that gap vanish, which is a demanding task in ACC.
And as you mentioned, KC and SD fighting, SD seems to be making a lot of mistakes. He's going wide, he's going onto the grass, and KC can see the P5 up there. It's so within his reach, so close yet so far. Can KC keep his lap clean, and can KC bring that pressure onto SD so that SD messes up his lap? Either goes wide, then just like how Watts got P5, he gets P5.
Yep, and this is something that which I was mentioning back during quali that the the turn that is last but second is extremely risky and disastrous, especially if you try to overcook it by eating it too much. At the same time, if you're going to go very safe, you'll have to go significantly slower, or else you're just going to land up in the gravel trap anyway. So I think that that particular turn provides some sort of action into the main straight, because depending on the sort of pressure the drivers have from back or whom they're trying to chase at front, a bit of overconfidence can definitely hamper their upcoming lap.
HP asks if Escape Bharat couple. Yes, HP. Bharat is indeed couple.
So
Well,
right now,
for the people. Yes, go
yeah,
on.
yeah, the McLaren is making a move for P3 from Karish Chowdhury. I don't know how that happened. Karish Chowdhury was significantly faster, but Prakhar has found a way around the Audi. As I say that, the Audi is trying to come back, probably looking at the outside right now.
The McLaren and the
And
Audi is battling it out. The British power versus the German power. The British stays ahead. The green German power does not get the position done. Can Karish keep it close to Prakhar Watts so he gets the move? Can he capitalize on it? And better question, can SG capitalize on this battle in front of him?
yeah, and as I say that, I noticed that Kapil Bharat has taken the lead, and some sort of mistake from Dwarkanath, he has fallen back to P2. So I don't know what's happening there, but yeah, this is a new development in the race. We've had usually Dwarkanath was leading significantly, but I don't know what's happened. Dwarkanath has fallen to P2, and the gap is now 4 seconds. Prakar Vats is right behind the tail to Dwarkanath, exactly 4 seconds separating them. He did eat away a gap of 3 seconds from Karesh Chowdhury, so I don't think this is going to be a big challenge for him. But it's definitely to see that what Dwarkanath is going to do right now to get back P1 from Kapil Bharat.
Kapiles is currently P10 in the championship standings with 8 points. If he gets this race win, if he maintains that 4 second gap even after the pit stops and the pit window and wins the race, he's gonna get pushed up into the championship fight, and we still have a long way to go before the season ends. So it's gonna be
Yeah,
fun.
it's definitely going to be fun because if there is a season where you have a lot of drivers competing for that championship position, it really speaks about the quality of the drivers and the quality of the season that you have. Definitely more is merrier here, and at the end of the day, each driver is going to feel a sense of accomplishment. And as I say that, I see a yellow flag. Madhav Sajit is facing the wrong way into turn one. If there's any way to tell our drivers that, and he almost makes contact, I think this is going to be investigated. I'm not sure what's happening right now. Can we go on board with Madhav Sajit in car number 13?
There he is. Oh, he goes merry-go-round, and the Nissan.
Yep.
It doesn't look that good. It doesn't look that pleasing in terms of track position and track pace. Not looking good for Madhu Sajid at
Yeah, I don't know
all.
what's happening. What is happening right there? Because right in the last turn, he was facing the wrong way, and he almost made contact with a McLaren and another Audi. So I'm not. I think he made almost made contact with the Audi of Aladdin. So I'm not sure what was happening there. He lost control and spun out in the last turn, which is quite a hard thing to do when the turn is so slow. So as I say that, we have a battle for P3 and P4 right now. The Audi of Karish Chowdhury trying to get back at the McLaren of P1s. They did get close before the chicane section, and right now it's the run up to turn number 9, if I'm not wrong, into the blind braking zone. The same place where Prakar Watch took the position from Karish Chowdhury in the previous lap, but Karish Chowdhury was not able to emulate the same move on this occasion.
Well, SG, I see SG doesn't have the car behind him, the car of KC behind him. KC has done his pit stops. So we have P7 to P13 with no pit stops remaining. Etiagi, Jackster, KC66, Admiral Adadin, Aurora,
Yep.
Gyan, and Sajid with no pit stops left to do so they can go to the end of the race. SD has no pressure from behind him. The next car behind him is 24 seconds of Joseph, the fan favorite currently.
Yeah, and as I say that, right, I noticed that Jackson has eaten the gap to the Porsche in front. It was 16 seconds, I think, 2 laps back. Right now, it's just at 9.5, which means he is catching up at a rate of almost 2 and 3/4 seconds a lap. So that's quite fast from his side. And I think once everyone makes the pit stop, it's going to throw Jackson right into the mix. He has been running in free air for quite a while, which means that he was able to maintain his tires. He has been able to maintain the consistent pace that he has overall. And that's going to pay out because he is choosing a strategy where he doesn't have to change his tires. So, probably a few pit stops from D. Joseph, from the likes
Oof,
of Shubham Das.
Big F for SD, the big F for Suram Das over there. Because on to the gravel. Aye, aye, aye.
Yeah, and that's really not helping his cause because Jackster is going to catch up to him once the pit stop is complete.
And while we hit the 34th minute mark on the race, I want to thank all of you guys who are watching the stream. Thank you for tuning in. And do make sure to leave your predictions down into the chat box of one, where Jackster is going to finish, and two, where the fan favorite Joseph is going to finish in the race.
Yeah.
And
So,
as we talk about Joseph, I just noticed Casey is behind Jackster. And it's none of them have any pit stops left, so it's going to be an on-track battle between the two of them, and both of the closest rivals in the champion standings are also pretty close on the track, so it's going to get feisty between them.
yep. So Jackster was able to maintain consistency, whereas Casey was battling it out. So that lost him a lot of time and gave Jackster the unintended undercut. Um, Jackster would not be returning any favors there. So this is what I said. I mean, we are going to see a lot of battles, probably Jackson getting ahead or right in the mix once everyone starts making those pit stops. Because I think a lot of, and as I say that, there's a yellow flag again in sector 3, which has gone off for the time being. That is the Audi of Supreme Leader Admiral Aladdin going off track and is now riding the gravel.
Vadia will not be proud of that, Aladdin. Vadia will not be proud of that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there because it does look like his rear is damaged. I'm not sure if you can get a better angle on it, but it does look to me as if the car is damaged.
third race into the season, what do you think is one of the most prettiest looking cars over here on the grid?
Um, in my opinion, I think the McLarens have always been one of the most beautiful cars on track. Just because it's constructed with sharp features and also aerodynamic contours through it. So that's definitely my favorite car on track. Uh, I think a lot of people would also choose the Audi because it's small. It does look quite solid, quite planted, and at the end of the day, it is Audi. So I think that would be a reason why people would like the Audi too.
No, I would beg to differ. P2 Ferrari. Look at that. Look at that yellow colored Ferrari. Beautiful, mamma mia. And also, why not a Ferrari? Because it's a Ferrari. Forza Ferrari. Come on, man. How can you not choose a Ferrari? Looks beautiful.
Yeah, I have to. I guess I'd agree with you when it says it looks beautiful, but it's definitely, at least in my books, I'd say the McLaren and the Audi are the most beautiful cars. Obviously, I mean, different people are definitely going to have varied opinions on it, and I definitely know that there are going to be a lot of Ferrari fans disappointed at what I've said. But yeah, that it is there.
So you basically have your boxing gloves on and say, fight me for any of the people who are going to argue that Ferrari looks better than the McLaren, huh?
No, I mean, there's no argument there. At the end of the day, if Dwarknath can get his Ferrari back to P1, I'm going to like a Ferrari then. But as of right now, I think I'm going to go with the Bentley because that's chasing P1 right now. And as I say that, he is getting back, he is getting close to a backmarker of Gio Aurora in the McLaren. And Aurora should be looking to give him way, or else he would be losing a bit of time to Dwarknath at the back.
Since
So
I don't
right
think we
now,
have a lot
yeah.
of battle on track, is there any car who are pretty close to each other within a second?
I guess there is. I'm not.
There was a car. No, it's not because Karish Chowdhury was within 1 second of Prakarwats, and I am sorry for my commentator's curse because he has spun and he goes into the pits.
Yeah, and probably the commentator's curse helping him find out when exactly he had to pit. But we have a few other cars on track. We have Dwarknath who's pitted. So that is quite weird
Halfway
because
through, keep
I
pushing.
assume that Dwarknath would want to stay as close to Kapil Bharat as possible so that they ensure that they come out battling and he doesn't get caught up in traffic. But I think he's taking a gamble here, probably hoping that when Kapil Bharat does. Oh, and as I say that, Madhav has again spun out. He's off track in the third sector. So if there's any way of telling drivers to watch out, they should be looking at the yellow flags right now. And yeah, and as
I
I was
think.
saying, right? Yeah, go on,
Uh
go
huh.
on.
You go on, go on. I was just talking about that. I think the reason he's playing so much is he just got his racing wheel. I think a week or two ago, his G29. So I think he's just getting used to it, or he's just getting too throttle happy and just
Uh,
going spinalla into the walls.
and as I say that car number seven, 777 has been handed a stop go penalty of 30 seconds. So I don't know if he entered the pits too fast, but there is a stop go of 30.
Well, if we rewind our time clocks, you said that if Dwarkanath gets P1, you're going to be a Ferrari fan. Looks like that's not going to happen today, is it?
Yeah, until unless everyone else gets that stop go. So I think Kapil Bharat, without having to put any effort from his side, has landed into P1. We've seen this a lot in season one before. Kapil Bharat has definitely not the fastest driver on the grid, but was able to finish the constructors in P2 if I'm not wrong. Sorry, the drivers'
Oh,
championship in P2 if I'm not wrong.
I'm sorry, but we have a question in the chat box. Sanil Naik asking what happened to Dwarkanath. I believe he entered the pits too quick, or he was too quick in the pits for a second or two, like a second entering the pits in second gear. And in this game, if you go too quick into the pits, you're gonna get a stop go penalty, which is very very painful to watch if you're leading P1.
Yeah, I'm right now trying to go have a look at the replay about exactly what happened. Um, so just give me a second before so that I can find out what happened. Oh yeah, he's definitely entered the pits way too fast. He entered at around 70 kilometers an hour, and the limit being 50. So I think that's what gave him the penalty in the first place.
P1 Jacksters getting too close on the tail of SD. SD is gonna feel the heat and feel the wrath of Jackster, who knows that he has the pace. He was P1 by over a second. He is going to get that move on SD. SD is just going to be sitting ducks. Both of the Audis of Jackster and Karish too hot on tail of the Mercedes, the German boys. Three-way German battle. Who is going to be the better manufacturer, the better driver, and the best setup out of all these three cars?
So yeah, so the pit stop has rendered Das to come right in front of Jackster. So, and he'll be looking to make a move into the blind turn of turn number 9 or 10, if I'm not wrong. Sorry with the numbers, but
Well,
yeah,
he
as I say
sent it.
that,
Is he gonna go for the switchback? He goes for a switchback. Does he get it? Can he keep it? He keeps it. That is beautiful. Garish is now going to capitalize on the slow pace of SD, or can SD get the move back on Jackster? You can see Jackster's car bouncing around, as you mentioned about his setup being too stiff. He's just bouncing on those curbs, and oh, it's just beautiful, sublime.
yeah, and as you were telling that, the car of Dwarkanath, the Ferrari car number 777, has completed a stop-go penalty and he's fallen back to P10. Right now, the battle to look out for is going to be between the Audi of Jackster, the Mercedes of Shubham Das, and Karish Chaudhary, who will be looking to capitalize on the mistakes that Das would make. And that's going to be an interesting battle to probably follow for the next couple of laps to see what happens there, who's able to get whose position. And but I think at the end of the day, it's becoming a very comfortable ride for Kapil Bharat. Right now, there is a gap of almost 10 seconds, and to P3. Kapil Bharat has completed his pit stop. Prakar Vats up ahead has not, and the gap ahead is around 21.8 seconds. So this does mean that Kapil Bharat is going to come out ahead of Prakar Vats with a comfortable gap if he does not make any mistakes till Prakar Vats pits.
If you are Dwarkanath right now after getting 30-second stop go penalty, what are you going to be going through in terms of emotions, in terms of your mental state? You leading the race by a very, very good margin. You could have been easily up in the podium fights, but now you're just going to be fighting for the points. What is going to be going through your head right now?
I think Jackson is going to. Sorry, I mean Dwarkanath is going to probably fight it out on track, trying to close the gap up ahead. But he's probably going to keep the remorse for later because he's definitely an experienced driver, and I think it's one of the times that the track caught him out, and it can be a mistake that costs you a lot entering the pits too fast. Per se, there is not a lot of time that you gain by entering the pits too fast, but there's definitely a lot of time to lose once you break that rule. So right now, I think he's just going to keep his head down, try to gain from P10 as much as he can, but he's going to keep the thinking for after the race.
It's been it's
So
been
yeah,
it's been a quiet race except some 2-3 beautiful overtakes. One from Aladdin was wow, he's P12. Oof.
I think
After that
we've
beautiful
seen,
dive on.
yeah, we've
Yes.
seen a lot of changes in position. I think the only consistent position right now has been P30, but there's been a lot of
Ouch.
positions. There's been a lot of strategy in play here and a lot of unintentional use. Like Kapil Bharat, I mean, he is kind of winning really without having to put too much of effort, which shows the kind of mentality that is there behind the driving that you do. Because when the remaining cars on the field are trying to battle it out, trying to fight for position, he's being much more strategic in what he's doing. So, from my side, I think the real winner of this race is Kapil Bharat. A not Probably a not great qualifying session from him, but definitely has capitalized it in the race. Um, I think it's definitely unfortunate for Dwarkanath. He was leading significantly. He was one of the faster cars on track. Right now, he is fighting it out at P10. It has been a good comeback from Jackster with only 20 minutes remaining in the race and the position being P4. I think P3 or probably, um, yeah, P3 does look achievable for Jackster. So that's something to look out for. And that will probably be the comeback of the race, basically. So it's definitely been a quiet race, but we've seen a lot of moves and a lot of trades in position. So I think that's a good thing as far as racing goes.
And Rucker was enters the pit. Wait, I think he sped into the pits. I don't know. The moment we switched the camera to Rucker Watts, he just crossed the line. His front engine, his front part of the car was already in crossed the line, and I think it broke. Then we're gonna know after he exits the pits whether or not he sped. But
I think
as you
he did,
mentioned,
yeah. I think
he
he did
did.
enter the pits. He did enter the pits a quite bit fast. So I'm going to quickly hop onto the replay and check that out. Can you tell me the car number, please? It's car number
Car number
60, right?
60, car number 60 in the McLaren. He is already
Yep.
P2. As you mentioned, Couple gets the jump on Prakhar Watts. And Tyagi gets the jump on Prakhar Watts. If Prakhar is now P3, Jackster in P4. Jackster is just 1 second behind in the Audi. It's going to be the British versus the Germans. I am not going to say that in a sentence ever again in my life because that reminds me of World War II.
No, he did enter the pit safely, but I don't know what happened. He did enter the pits at 43 kilometers an hour, so he is safe. Probably a small glitch in the stream that teleported him into the walls, I guess.
Chaudhary is gonna go on the inside or the outside. He's gonna go. Can he not go? He does not take. He does not risk it. He does not go for the Aladdin move on Joseph. He's gonna keep it safe behind SD because he knows SD is fast. Shubham Das is fast in a few tracks, in a few corners. And Chaudhary is gonna capitalize on it. And if this spans out for the next 20 minutes, it's gonna be a ding dong battle.
No,
And
that
probably no, it's not going to be a ding dong battle if Extraordinary keeps up that.
yeah. So that endeavor into the grass is definitely not helping him. It never helps actually. So I thought he was playing the vulture game, trying to find where Das would make the mistake, but I think that error has cost him that gap. He'll probably have to fight out another battle to close the gap in. So Karish Shubham Das lives to battle another lap, I guess. So, and as I say that, right, Jackster has got P3 in the books. So he did come out of the pits. Prakarwar did come out of the pits behind Jackster. So it's
And
definitely
Jackster
one
gets
of the.
P3.
Yep. So it's definitely one of the say the comebacks of the few IRC races that we've had. He's come back right from P13 to all the way back to P3, and that was because of an error in probably setting the fuel before the timer went out. So that's definitely a good comeback from Jackster. Now the question remains is whether he can take P2, which is just 3 seconds away. Um, P1 is around 12 seconds, so I'll probably have to check the pace between P1 and P3 right now to see whether he can make up that gap of around 13 seconds to Kapil Bharat.
I mean, it's quite bizarre because people. I mean, in season one, when you and I raced in season one, we had a lot of people who didn't get used to clicking on drive before the race starts, and people got sent back to the pit lane. And I thought, man, I believed that people learned from season one, and season two was going to be easy sailing, and Jackster was going to have an easy race, just having a good Sunday drive on Thursday, and just getting the race win. But it's just bizarre. I just wanted that's the question I'm going to ask him. What happened?
I think he's just helping us have a better race, I guess. He's doing
And
it for the
wait,
fans, basically.
I'm sorry, but Richard Gant gets a drive through. He's already P11. Oh my! He is
Yep,
already 2 laps down. He has a drive through. Do you know what happened?
Yeah, I think he exceeded a number of times. He could cut the track without getting a warning. Uh, no, cut the track with getting a warning. So I think he's serving the drive-through because of track limits. Unfortunately, I cannot check where he has made those errors because I have to see the whole replay. But typically, a drive-through is because you have exceeded the three limit warning. And as I say that, he pulls to the side. I think he is going to call it quits on the race, which again is a shame because he had a stellar performance in Monza, being one of the few consistent drivers in track. Brands definitely wasn't his race, and right now uh, he's just retired. And I think if you have to sort out the biggest winners and losers of today's race, Kapil Bharat definitely up there. Tyagi has fought his way up. Probably someone we've not mentioned enough. They are only a Porsche on track. Definitely a difficult car, and even more difficult car to get up to the podium positions. Jackster with I don't know if that is an intentional, entertainment sort of thing, or whether it was unintentional. But he's definitely put up a show from P13 to come to P3 with around 15 minutes of the race remaining. Prakarwats has showed a lot of pace in today's race. He's made a lot of good moves. He's capitalized on the mistakes of his fellow drivers on track. Shubham Das has been hanging on in P5 to P6. He's just battling it out with Karish Chowdhury. And as I say that, if we can go on board with Karish Chowdhury at the back, he's at the tail of Shubham Das.
Is it possible to bring Richard Gyan over here and ask him what happened?
Should be. Let me see if I can.
That was quite a stellar performance from Richard Gyan. It's just so sad to see people just give up.
Yeah, I'm not able to contact him. I've left him a message. If he does, uh, let's let's call him up to the commentators box and ask him about his race.
And while we try to figure out how to bring Richard Gyan over here, Das and Chaudhary battling it out. And as Das and Chaudhary are battling, we have Richard Gyan, who has joined the Discord chat. Hello, Richard Gyan.
Hello, guys. How are you doing?
How are
Oh, it
you
is
doing?
amazing. How are you doing
Yeah,
after that DNF?
Yeah, that was quite a lackluster race. I got damaged on lap 1 from Casey, and then the race was just, off spirits from then on. But yeah, I still had some pace. And then I made a silly mistake coming out the last corner. I was really focused on the overtake on Casey, and I just messed up the exit on the penultimate corner. And I had like literally no control of the car while it rammed the wall at full speed. And then I was just trying to be a sportsman, like, and just drive as much as I could. But then I got another, like, a really unfair penalty. I would say I would lost control after the last corner, and it gave me my final track extension. So I just went into the pits, and I was like, why
yeah,
even bother now?
yeah. I feel you, dude. Because that last turn, if you take it up a bit, whether you've lost control or not, if you go wide, it treats it as a big penalty because it's a huge advantage into turn one, in terms of exit speed. So yeah, I mean, one of the few things about Kyalami. But as we say that, I can see Shubham Das trying to break the toe ever so desperately. The Audi is right behind him, trying to find where he can get that gap to go through. Um, yeah. Uh, how do you feel the Mercedes was as a car as compared to the Lexus? We were discussing about this, I think, a while back. But since you're here, if we can hear it from you itself, Richard.
Yeah, me and SD both driving the new Evo, where we both are driving the aggressive setup. So we really had nothing to do in terms of how comfortable they are with the car. So I guess the way SD is driving right now is really brilliant because the car is really unstable. It's really wonky. I You can't crank up the wing to be stable in the second sector, or else you'll lose speed.
Yeah.
Overall, it's fine, but it's not that you're not feeling confident with the car right now. You really need to like conserve yourself a bit, or else see. I'm a live example of what happened when you try to like push the limit a bit.
Yeah.
So you
So
still you so you
definitely,
choose the Lexus over the Mercedes? Is that
No,
what
no.
I assume.
I think probably in hindsight, you should probably chosen a car which has more setups planned out already on all tracks. But I guess Kyalami is such a odd one out that no one has probably posted a setup for us to learn or copy from them. Probably the next coming tracks already have the Evo setup given out, so we could probably be a much more comfortable in terms of driving.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things that I noticed is that a lot of different cars have gone for a lot of different setups. Like I can see Jack's car still bouncing around like a basketball. So I mean, right now I would have the opportunity to talk to him once he does come down to the podium, the commentator's box, if he does finish on the podium. But I'd always assume that the Mercedes is a bit more stable than the Lexus. Is that your view, or do you still think that the Mercedes is a bit more twitchy than it should be?
uh, I guess Mercedes has its advantage, but I would say the Lexus is Mercedes is much faster, but it's like you have to tame it a bit. I would say Lexus is still a bit more stable, bit beginner friendly. I would say it's got its advantages in terms of rotation and a corner. Mercedes
Mhm.
is really like you really need to place your car in the correct way on exit and on entry to maximize the speed.
Yeah. And as we see that, one of the Karish Chaudhary has fallen back a bit. The gap between Das and Chaudhary is now at 1.5. I'm not sure if Chaudhary made a mistake, but I think he'd be looking to catch that up. He has only 10 minutes to go almost, and give or take a lap, depending on where the leader finishes, his opportunities and his windows are really coming down. Meanwhile,
It's
I
not.
don't
It's
think
not been a
we.
good season for you, Baba, has it? It's Richard Gyan. It's you. You've got 0 points in Brands Hatch and 0 points in this race too. What's going to be your mindset heading on to the next track?
I was actually really disappointed with my current performance because I was watching the lap times on track people are doing, and I was doing it quite comfortably into the late 43s and early 44s. Should have placed me like up in 4, 5, 6. But the initial setback cost me a lot, and it put me in a mindset to push much more than I had to. So I guess it's just a disappointing performance for me. I'll probably come back stronger next race. Let's see. Garlic
Good
Yeah,
spirits
luck
up.
with that. Good luck with that. Have fun. Good game. Well played. It was
Sure.
nice looking at you pushed. It was your car looked absolutely stunning in the black Mercedes. Just such eye catching. I would rank it up high with the yellow colored car guy racing of Dwarkanath's Ferrari. I like your car's aesthetics. It looks beautiful.
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
and I just leave you with that. Your consistency did give you a P3 back in Monza.
Yeah.
As I probably mentioned it before, you were definitely not the fastest cars on track, but you did show that consistency is very important in a 60-minute race. So hopefully the next few races or every other race on the calendar does pan out to you. And I mean, we're not really looking out for. We are basically looking out for drivers to have a good time on track and finish with the satisfaction that they did the best they could. I just hope you're able to do that the next race onwards, and definitely give us something more to talk about on the chat.
Sure, sure. Thank you very much. Carry on, guys. The action is live. I'll see you.
Yep.
Yes,
And
sir. Thank you. Good
as
game.
I say that, Dwarkanath is closing right behind G Aurora, so it took him a lot of time to catch up after the stop go. So he's probably looking to make a move into turn number 4. Depends on what G Aurora does. He tries to block the inside of Dwarkanath is right behind the tail of G Aurora. I think he'll get a move safely done into turn number 5, and G Aurora backs off. G Aurora just drops throttle and goes off. I'm not sure whether he decided that he was not his competition, but I'm not sure if G Aurora realized they were battling the last 8 minutes for the positions of P9 and P10.
Well, I was going to mention that the battle of Giorora and Dwarkanath is going to be one to watch, but then Giorora just
Yeah,
throws it off the window. But now Jackster, the next battle that for the next 8 minutes should be to be watching out for should be Tyagi and Jackster. If Jackster shows the pace that he had in qualifying, I think it's going to be an easy ping pong pass for Jackster on Tyagi. It's going to be done and dusted. He's going to dust his hands and just call it a day.
I would probably say that right now, since you have only 8 minutes left on track, that translates to about 5 laps of racing. So I think Tyagi would be doing all that he can to position his car in a way that prevents Jackster from making a move. Porsche is definitely a small car on a big track here, but he's going to do as much as he can to block that racing line off. So 8 minutes to go, everything to lose for Tyagi, everything to gain for Jackster in terms of position. Meanwhile, Kapil Bharat can probably turn down his engine a bit. He's comfortably ahead in pace as compared to P2. Probably not so much to P3, but that win is definitely settled for Kapil Bharat, in the hope that he can actually finish the race where he is right now. But so far, so good for Bharat. And but yeah, as I say that the pace difference between Tyagi and Jackster is around 4 tenths. So it's not going to be an easy task for Jackster to cruise past Tyagi because he definitely does not have the pace margin that he had to the other drivers on track.
I mean, since we're coming to the end of the race and we don't see cars who are pretty close for a battle, let's talk about ACC and F1, the game mechanics, how the cars handle, and how different mindsets should people go in to ACC if they are racing a lot of F1.
Um, I don't know, to be just very blunt about it, if you are going to race in ACC, you should forget about F1. Like, forget about the way in which you've been driving in at F1. And ACC is much more about the fundamental mechanics. The like not comparing the oh, and as I say that, Tyagi has gone
Tyagi
off
just
track.
throws it off. Wow, Tyagi just throws
Yeah,
it off, and Jackster gets P2. There's no battle for this. You can't argue about it. This Tyagi just threw it out the window. It just goes wide on the grass, loses traction, cannot turn the car, cannot slow down, just goes straight on. Jackster says, "Thank you very much," and I'm gonna head out. See you. Bye bye.
yeah, and I think that is a genuine mistake from Tyagi. What he was trying to do is get as wide into that turn as possible to get a good exit. But as I said earlier, that's a blind turn where you are sitting for us from the commentator's box and our camera perspective. It may seem very obvious that it's a stupid mistake of going into the grass, but from the point of view as a driver, you cannot really see the apex of that curb before you start braking. So you really should know where you are on track to start braking. And I think that ambition of cutting off the turn for Tyagi and for Jackster and getting a better exit got the better of Tyagi, and that's why he committed that mistake in the first place.
I believe it's
Hopefully,
not going to be it's not going to be a good day for both of us, because if these guys watch the replays from the live stream, they're going to blame us for all the commentator scores. It's how many has it been? How many commentator scores has it been? It's been
well,
four, five.
I think the commentator's curse is a beautiful mistake by itself. Um, I don't know. I mean, if the drivers are listening in to what we're saying right now, it's on them. But I think it's just coincidences. That's all. We make a lot of comments, and I mean, statistically, something has to come out true. So, commentators' curse will be on as long as commentators are there. Um,
Looking
but
into the
yeah,
chat box.
as
Go
I was
on.
telling earlier, the biggest difference between an F1 and a GT3 car is that in an F1 car, 80% of the stuff around is just about the aerodynamics. You have so much more aerodynamic grip that is generated on a percentage basis. You have so much more grip as an aerodynamic being generated than mechanical grip by itself. But in a GT3 car, you have to handle the car's weight on its own. So the balance between mechanical and aerodynamic grip is very critical. You cannot always rely on aerodynamic grip through the track as you can in F1 because you have typically higher speeds. You have a car that's sitting much more lower. You have wider tires. You have a better overall wheelbase to track width ratio. So that's the biggest difference, right? F1 is more aerodynamics run, but GD3, irrespective of the track that you have to focus on getting that best balance between mechanical and aerodynamic grip. And I think that is what catches most drivers off guard because like common solutions or say easy to go solutions like turning your wing up isn't always going to work. You need to focus on how your camber of the tire is. Are you scrubbing off too much of your tire by having too much toe? Is your rear being too unstable? So all those small nooks and crannies is something that you have to really focus on in ACC. And I think that is the biggest differentiator between ACC and F1. It really requires you to learn your car, really requires you to learn how your car is operating. and how you can change the way you drive to suit your car better.
That was pretty detailed. Like I mentioned to the guys watching, Anirudh is one of the most talented guys. Is one of the guys to rely on in terms of setting up a car and knowing how car behaves. It's every car does handle differently. I remember driving the Nissan once, and I was 4 or 5 seconds off the pace, and I just said nope, no, I'm not gonna drive this, and I just hopped back into the Jaguar.
Yeah, and the things that we do when we don't know the cars, I think affects a lot of our car choice, because if you're a first timer into ACC, you'll definitely be intrigued by the cars like Nissan, Ferrari, typically cars
I'm
that you
sorry, wait.
know.
I'm gonna hold you back over there. Dwarkanath and SD are having a wheel-to-wheel battle. Chaudhary gets his switch back on SD after that turn, and both of them are wheel-to-wheel. They had a bit of a collision in between of them. SD and Chaudhary go wheel-to-wheel, and Karish is now ahead of Shubham Das. Can Shubham Das guess the slipstream and send it down the inside on turn one? Wow, that happened pretty quick. That I was not expecting that.
Yeah, there's a lot of quick battles that are happening, and Karish Chaudhary should have definitely defended the inside. He's going for the cutback right now. If
He
Shubham
goes
Das
for it
can just,
again. He goes for the
and
cutback.
they,
It cuts again. This is the second collision in one lap. SD is not going to be happy with this very rigorous defending from
yeah,
Karish
he's going to
Chaudhary. What do you
be
think?
yeah, he's going to be muscling his way through right now. You know, telling that Audi that look, I'm here, you better not come and make contact with me,
Oh,
and goes for the cutback again. This is some really good battling that's going on. As long as the drivers can keep it clean, this is going to be really good.
coming to the ending of this race, 44 seconds. This race has come alive again after 2 3 beautiful overtakes. We have one long lasting battle. 35 seconds to go. I want all of the people to comment down in the chat box. Who was your driver of the day and what was your battle of the day? I believe it's going to be, for me, it's going to be SG and Karish. As the race was dying out, the race was about to be finished. I was getting sleepy, and now we have something to look forward to. I am sitting back again. I am yelling at my throat. My mom and dad are going to walk in the room and yell at me to leave the house because I'm yelling.
So some good news for any fan supporting Karish Chaudhary here. The leader did not cross the line after the timer went out, so there is one more lap of racing that we have. So Karish Chaudhary will have another opportunity to overtake. Shubham Das will have to have another lap of defending. So I think this is the battle that we're going to have on track before this race concludes. So hopefully, if no one else makes any mistakes on the last lap, we'll be seeing a good battle between Shubham Das and Karish Chaudhary.
SG has been struggling to battle to defend the position he has been when cars attack him. But this is one of the defendings that I'm actually happy and exciting to see because SG is defending that position beautifully. Even after Karish Chaudhary is muscling his way, touching the car, is just weaving around, trying to cut the slipstream, trying to cut the racing line off. And SG gets that position, he's holding on to it for his dear life. Just one more lap. Kapil Bharat wins the race. Daxter is P2. Now we have the battle for P5 between SG and Karish Chaudhary.
Yep, and we hopefully that battle pans out. That gap is not reducing. But just coming off that, Kapil Bharat is coming to the last few corners of the race. Definitely no mistakes from his side today. A clean race, capitalizing on all the mistakes that his fellow drivers made. And as I say that, he does cross the finish line to take P1, his first win of the season 2 of IRC ACC. And Jackster finishes P2, an impressive P2 after starting all the way back at P13. Tyagi, well deserved P3 from his side. And we have the car of Prakar Vats coming down the last corner to take P4. The battle between Shubham Das and Karish Chaudhary is definitely going to the last corner, but there's not enough track left for Karish Chaudhary to make any other moves. Impressing defending from Shubham Das, considering what Richard Gang told us about how they were finding it difficult to drive the Mercedes on their aggressive setup. So a lot of setup work to go for Shubham Das on the next few races, but I think he can be happy with that P4. And yeah, uh, P6. I'm not able to see P6. Can you see? Yeah, P6 is in the last sector right now. P6 is D Joseph. So for all the D Joseph fans out there, uh, thank you for your support for D Joseph, and he will be finishing this race in P6.
I believe he
Um,
finished P8 because I think the people in the front row decided to disconnect. I don't see
oh,
Jackster in the
okay.
server, so I think they disconnect. So I think Joseph is eighth place, but that's also pretty impressive. Considering the server that we have, the lobby, the drivers we have, that's pretty impressive for a person first race in the server and
Yeah.
gets P8. That's pretty good.
And as I say that, I can see Casey doing donuts on track. So I'm not sure what he's celebrating, but it's something. I think the visual is good anyway. So as I say that, I think I'll probably invite the top three down to the commentary box. Um, Nirma, could you please ask Jackster and Ankit Tyagi to join us?
Yes, I will.
Yep. And yep, that brings us to the end of the third race of IRC ACC Season 2. Definitely a new track, a track that had a lot of opportunities for overtaking. So, without further ado, I'll go straight down to the podium winners. We don't have P2 and P3 with us yet in the comment box, so I will start off with P1, who is Kapil Bharat. So Kapil, how was your race today? I mean, did you have to put up a lot of fight, or
So the first stint was absolutely wonderful. So I, as usual, have fantastic stats. So that was a very nice getaway off the line. Tried to make a couple of positions up, and then all of a sudden I lose it in sector two. And luckily I orient my car, good enough angle that I just tap the wall, just get some light damage on the front left, and nothing more than that. But after that, it was like a complete charge to the field and all the way back up to P2, and then the rest was calm and peaceful for the rest of the race.
yeah? And overall, I think it was quite an uneventful race from your end, but the most important part was that you were able to get that P1 without too much of effort from your side, which just shows that you are very good at capitalizing on the mistakes that others make. But how was qualifying? How was qualifying in your perspective?
Not bad, not bad at all. I don't know if I have the pace compared to the likes of Jackson. Is like almost 1.5 seconds behind him. So kudos to that guy to really step it up. Unfortunate that he did not press drive at the start of the race and had to fight his way through the field. But it's all good. I believe got got a lot of work to do, but I'm pleased with the result.
Yeah, and for those drivers who are probably thinking of the car that they've chosen, uh, and so what is your opinion about the Bentley versus the Mercedes? Because we see a lot of drivers driving the Mug this time around.
See, at the end of the day, from our practice session, it's very evident that at least the midfield, be it from P3 to P7, P8, they're all equal. Now everyone keeps putting the emphasis that the car is what matters and all of that. But at the end of the day, honestly, if anyone picks up any of these cars, be it McLaren, be it Merc, be it Bentley, I'm pretty sure will more or less end up in the same situation. It's not more like 2 or 3 tenths per track kind of a difference. At the end of the day, it's all of our driving style and the way we can properly utilize the car's strength. But honestly, the car doesn't really matter. Like if I were in the Merc, I'd probably be doing the same lap times at the end of the day. Honestly, it doesn't make it is not the deciding factor, at least at our league.
Yeah, and thanks for that, Couple. Definitely a good race from your side. Now move ahead to Jackster, who definitely finished at P2. Jackster, before you start, could you just walk us through what happened at the start of the race and why you teleported to the pits? Jackson, can you hear me?
Jackson, radio check. We can see your icon blinking, but we can't hear you, Jackson.
Don't think he's speaking.
Radio check. Jackson, radio check.
No, he's gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
FN chat.
Hopefully he'll join back. We don't have Tyagi with us right now, so that's a
Oh,
bummer
that
because
terrible disappointment. Back to the studio.
yep. And so that's the end of the third race of IRC ACC. We'll definitely want to catch you guys up for the race next week. But meanwhile, we have the F1 race on Saturday and Sunday for Tier 1 and Tier 2, respectively. So, hoping you guys join there. And that's it. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining into the stream, and goodbye.